Warlord Grexus of House Drakorin. I was brought alongside the rest to the capital ship of the Umbra. They called it the Obsidian Sentinel, a fitting name. I had always thought our military was strong and capable, but what I saw once we boarded can only be described in one word: efficient. The Terran military was brutally efficient. There was no lavish decorum that nobles used to adorn their ships, no personalized docks, no wasted space. Every nook and cranny was utilized to its fullest potential. It was magnificent. I prided myself on having my clan's military be the most orderly and efficient in the Empire, but this was something else entirely. Every person wore different uniforms depicting their jobs, and everyone worked in perfect unison. Every fighter and other types of ships were neatly stacked to maximize space, yet were easily deployable in no time. What was the reason for them to be this adept in warfare? What manner of beings are they to have learned the ways of war to this degree? I would probably never know. I am a prisoner now, and I do not know what fate awaits me. We were brought to some sort of transport that moved on a designated track. It hovered slightly over it, making a small humming noise, and before I knew it, we were off. Everywhere I looked gave me more questions, more need to know. I wanted to learn about their culture, their history, their ways of waging war. Our transport stopped in front of a station where we were corralled off. Prince Raxiel was still unconscious, held like a dead carcass over the shoulder of an Umbra soldier. Prince Thalos and Tharnix were both oddly quiet, but seemed to be in awe of how the Terrans operate. The priestess was a mess, silently praying while clutching a necklace of our god. We came to a stop at a large door where two Terrans in dark blue military uniforms saluted. They went to either side of the door and placed their hands on a scanner. The door hummed to life and opened. We were pushed inside, and I saw a long corridor with thick metal doors lining each side. Terrans in the same dark blue uniform, armed with rifles, walked back and forth down the corridor, saluting as we walked past them. I guess prison guards don't look dissimilar no matter what sentient species you belong to. We were split up as we were all given different cells. The priestess seemed to snap and tried to resist, but was quickly sedated and carried off. I was guided to a cell further down the line. I walked into what was now my prison cell. The room was spacious, with a bed in one corner, a metal desk next to it with a chair, and a door that led to what I later knew was a bathroom. At least these Terrans treat their prisoners with some respect. I took a closer look at the desk. It was strange, to say the least. It looked high-tech for just being a prisoner's table. At the center of it was a small button. I pressed it, and some sort of keyboard and holographic screen lit up. The letters on the keyboard were not hard to figure out, but what perplexed me was that on the screen stood, "Welcome, Warlord Grexus. What would you like to know about?" In Ziran, and below it was what I assumed to be a search tab. I sat down on the chair and thought about what to write. After a good moment, I typed in, "Hello, what's this?" in the search bar. It responded that it could answer most questions I had about the Terran Federation. Why would the Terrans give me a personal computer to learn about them? I asked out loud, not caring that anyone was listening. But this may give me a glimpse into their history. I typed on the keyboard, "Can you tell me about the origin of the Terrans and their advancements?" The machine whirred to life as videos and texts popped up on the screen. Information about their origin, their cultures throughout the ages, their wars and strife all manifested before me. They were a relatively young species when gaining sentience, but by the eternal conqueror they are a brutal species. Despite the abundant dangerous fauna on their cradle world, their only true enemy was themselves. They fought over pretty much anything from petty things to religious differences. The number of deities they had was unbelievable as well. I was shocked to see that they had a system unnaturally similar to ours in their past. Slavery, feudal lords, noble houses, honor-bound warriors, many different systems of the same layout all failed due to uprisings, greed, and infighting. Are they trying to tell me how flawed our system is? I delved further into their history to the 2 world wars they had. The carnage I witnessed. The brutality was otherworldly. Then they developed nuclear weapons and decided to test them on themselves. Then the Cold War, where they produced thousands of warheads to intimidate each other. How have they not destroyed themselves already? Even though I have seen plenty of combat, this was a bit overbearing, and I decided to look into their cultures and government more. I was shocked. Elected governing bodies who were no better than the greedy lords of the Terran houses clung to power with iron grips. Dictators ruled with tyranny and fear. Yet the Terrans persisted, improved their government, and after some sort of tragic incident, they united under a single unified galactic nation. Whatever that tragedy was, it made them into what they are now, a galactic superpower of an unknown scale. Their military is supercharged, their government is stable, and they hold unknown technological advancements that we don't. Just from this information, I know our empire faces a threat that can more likely than not destroy us. I indulged myself in learning anything I could. Some questions were answered with a classified response, but that is to be expected. Why would they give me classified information? Hours probably went by as I read and watched videos about every aspect I could learn about them. Suddenly, the video I was watching about the Roman Empire of old stopped, and the eerie face of the avian AI popped on the screen. My heart rate skyrocketed as I jumped back from the table, knocking the chair down and almost tumbling over it. "Apologies. Didn't mean to frighten you, Warlord Grexus," it said with that creepy, unnatural half-smile. I would wager it did indeed intend to surprise me. I took a moment to stabilize myself. "No apologies needed, although a warning would have been nice," I responded as I pulled the chair back up and sat in it. "To what do I owe the pleasure of getting the great Hugin to visit me in my cell?" I continued, my nerves calming down as I stared into those pitch-black eyes that seemed to want to pull me into an abyss. "Ha ha ha!" It chuckled as its mouth muscles and beak stretched, mimicking a Terran smile. It was haunting. "I am not so great. There are far more terrifying AIs within the Terran Federation," it said, and the smile subsided back to that half-grin. My scales shivered at that sentence. How could there be more terrifying AIs than him? "Did you enjoy our history?" it said after a moment, tilting its head with an inquisitive look. I did, yes, but why would you give this information to me? Did you give the others this computer device as well?" I asked, my curiosity taking over my cautiousness. "To your second question, no, we did not give the other prisoners access to what you have in front of you. And that is because of your first question. We got some interesting information on you when we pulled Guardian Saurix apart. You are unique among nobles of the Terran Empire," it answered in its monotone voice, but with a hint of excitement. "What do you mean by unique?" I asked, curious about what the AI would say. "You don't act like one," it answered almost immediately. "You are strict but fair to your supporters. You don't like it when slaves are treated badly. You abhor many noble houses and their practices, and on more than one occasion you berate them for their lackluster ways. You feel concerned about the future of the Empire and its rot. You are, in simple terms, an anomaly," it said, its grin widening a bit. "What do you mean?" "I am a loyal subject of the Empire and to the Emperor. I serve my house and my Archon without fail. I do my duty," I responded, anger brewing inside me. "Yes, indeed, but you saw the examples the Terrans set in their past. Your current government is doomed to failure, and you know it. I am honestly shocked that it has not happened yet," it commented nonchalantly, like this was simply a casual conversation. "Lies. The Empire is powerful. We advance our borders because it is within our right as the stronger species. Our way has not failed us for 1,000 years, I semi-shouted in frustration. Yet I knew deep down that he was right. More and more news about revolt suppression and civil unrest in poorly maintained domains have been on the rise the past few years. Nobles getting caught in scandals. The church embezzling money. The signs are there, but I refuse to admit it. It seems I was a bit hasty. Well, we have time. I still have plans for you in the near future, Warlord Grexus. You should get some rest. Food will be brought to you soon. For now, our conversation has ended. Farewell, it said with a slight bow, which took me by surprise. The screen turned off and the computer stopped humming. I sat there in silence for a good moment. What was all that about? I whispered to myself as I stood up and headed for the bed. I sat in it and massaged my head. It was soft and comfortable. No use thinking about that now. I will get some rest and think of my options after that. I closed my eyes and exhaustion finally took over as I drifted into sleep. AI Hugin. I do believe you are being too quick there, brother. He just arrived and you are challenging his beliefs already, my brother Moonin said. I may have jumped ahead there, but he is a prime candidate for manipulation. Given time, I'm certain we have a proper rebel leader on our hands, and perhaps if he survives, a new government official that could help fix their idiotic race, I said confidently as I created and calculated numerous scenarios of how I would do that. And what about his family and the princes? My brother asked. The princes can be used as bargaining chips, but they are not as high status within the royal family as I had hoped. They are lower middle at best. And why are they called princes? They are not even direct descendants of the emperor, I said, mildly angry. Grexus's family is more useful in manipulating him. His cousin and kin can be used to coerce him, but that would defeat the purpose of making him an ally, I continued. Indeed, I second that. Politics and deception are not my strong points. That has always been your expertise. I will leave the outcome of this to you, Hugin. Just don't go overboard with your schemes, he said finally and left with a goodbye. I won't, brother. I will not jeopardize Terran supremacy. Humans are the ultimate species and it shall stay that way, I said, but made sure not to broadcast it to him as that could be problematic. I went through more data from the Xeran AI. It truly was a bloated, simple being. A massive amount of useless data was stored in its drives. It seemed to enjoy the nobles squabbling among themselves, even cataloging the recordings it had for its favorite scenes, like a personal drama show. Pathetic. What a pathetic existence it had. I suppose those records can be useful, though. Going through them has provided me with significant insight into their social behavior that I will exploit to its fullest potential. Among all the trash in its hard drives, there was some useful information. There was a detailed galactic map of their borders, their colonized worlds, and population. That will be useful, but what took me by surprise was the number of sentients they had conquered. There were a total of 14 sentient species that they had enslaved, all with unique characteristics and traits, but in the end they are all inferior to humans. Since the beginning of the war I have become different. Moonin said so as well. I have started watching video feeds of the Umbra soldiers massacring the Xeran, not out of research purposes but enjoyment. I feel joy watching the enemies of mankind fall to their blades. The soldiers I painstakingly raised after I was given life by my father, marching to war and crushing our enemies, make me feel so ecstatic that I fear it will hinder my ability to function at optimal capacity. No, I cannot allow that. Focus on the task at hand. The Xeran Empire must fall, and the Terran Federation will liberate the poor enslaved species that are trapped under the foot of tyranny. I can see it already, the Terran Federation leading a new galactic government. But that comes later. Now to make plans for total victory over the Xeran Empire. This will be fun.